who do you see mostly buying these ugly homes so high? It's one, it's uneducated investors, out of state investors, out of the city investors, like from Austin and stuff like that. And two, it's people that have the cash.
Yeah.
There are people that I believe know what the hell they're doing, where they're buying these houses. And the point is that you're no longer buying a flip. This is where you start getting into what we used to call the 2-year flip, right? Where you're going to buy these houses. You might do a full rehab depending on the condition of the home. You got to do it so you get a house that you can rent and can cash flow. You're going to hold on to it. And
Yeah.
you're going to let that year or two come through, get that massive appreciation, and then you're going to
Well, I
sell
mean,
it.
that's also, I think, who's buying this stuff is exactly that. It's money coming from out of places, seeing like, hey, analyzing the data, analyzing everything, analyzing the prices. They're like, this South Central Texas area, or this Texas area, or we're at Florida, and like you hear some of these hottest markets, like where are things blowing up and why are they blowing up? To where they're like, look, I'm buying retail. I don't care. I just know I'm gonna make. I'm looking for enough cash flow to sustain the investment, and I can potentially sell it in 3, 4, 5 years, 2 years, whatever it may be
Right.
when those prices rise. Because you think about it too, it's like, well, the question to that is like, why don't they just buy retail right off the market, ready to go? Like, well, one, you don't know the quality rehab, and two, a lot of the stuff isn't rehabbed. It's good enough for today's standards, where you still have Formica countertops, still have some older cabinets, carpet everywhere, but you're paying retail for it. To where if you buy something that's distressed and say it's worth 200, needs 80 in repairs, and you're buying it for 120, it's like, well, you're still buying retail. Yes, it's your $80,000 that you put into that property. You know where that money went, and now you've updated it to today's standards with everything that it needs for top dollar today, to where it's going to capture every bit of appreciation for the next 10 years, because those styles are still going to be good, to where like you look at the houses built in 2005 are still selling for top dollar today, but in another 10 years, like those styles are going to be out because now things haven't been rehabbed in 20 years. Where you
Well,
rehab today, it's like, hey, you're good for 10, 15, 20 years.
and
So I think that's
properties
a lot
that
who's buying it.
when we used to wholesale and everything, these ghetto neighborhoods that we used to see, right, where houses weren't going
Star put on
almost
here.
to
Knew it.
any, they weren't going almost anywhere. Now all of a sudden we go to these neighborhoods, and that one house that we went to see that's like a Frankenstein of a house. Um, you're telling me the ARV, and I was like, there's no way in hell. How are the ARVs that high? And it's just you start looking at what the market is. That's why people are struggling right now is because they're looking for the market to be what they want it to be,
Yeah.
not what it is. And you got to take the market where it's at. Right now, the market has shifted tremendously. Coronavirus has. Oop, did I say that out loud? Shit. I'm sorry, YouTube. I didn't mean to say that bad word. Um, yeah, censorship is real, people.
Huh, yeah. That's been
But
proven.
yeah, so this, this thing that happened, has sped up all these things. So now when this whole thing first started, the lockdown, everything started, we started tips from the pros, right? Because we wanted to see how they were adjusting. And I remember doing one of the interviews with Sam Madrid. He's a very big investor here in Texas. He has how much? Well,
5, 6 properties.
yeah, like over
Well,
500
between
properties.
notes and rental properties, he has like a
So
5, 6.
he's a guy that's been around, kind of knows his shit. And one of the things that he said was that caught my attention was that, hey, I'm actually going to step out of the market. This is too unstable. I don't understand this. I'm stepping out. Now, here's the problem that I see with a lot of investors kind of making the same decision. Oh, I'm stepping out. This is crazy. People are overpaying for homes. People are buying homes that make no damn sense, and they're paying 20, 30, 40,000. We were outbid on one of the properties by 35 grand. It blew our
And
freaking mind.
we're only putting 25 profit in there for the
Yeah.
whole renovation. Cause I mean, it was a huge renovation. It was a big house, very unique, lots of problems in lots of different areas and lots of neglect. Where like, we just know, like, buy those things, like
Yeah.
you're going to find more problems that you can't even see that need to be addressed, and you can't do
But
anything
that's the
about it.
stuff, right? So that's the stuff that we know, that we understand. Why? Because we've renovated a ton of houses. We know we can kind of get to a point where we can see through walls,
Yeah.
right? We can see when we see a wall in a certain condition, we're like, yeah, we're probably going to have to reframe this wall. We're probably going to have some issues with the electrical. We're going to have issues here in the plumbing. Like we can kind of start seeing through walls because we can see those issues. Now, whether these people are seeing it or not, they're still buying the houses. Whether they're seeing it or not, they're our competition. They're taking inventory off the market. And what's happening is it creates more scarce inventory, which creates higher prices. So now, while yes, they might have been stupid to overpay 30 grand, all of a sudden, by the time the rehab is done, they look like geniuses because they probably made some money on it now, right? Because the appreciation
Well,
kept
that's
up.
right. To go back to like, it's incentivizing bad habits, or like the music can't go on forever. Because I bet if you go back to 2000 or 98, 99, leading up to the dot-com bubble, you had the same thing happening, just in a different. It rhymed. It wasn't the same thing, but it rhymed. 2008, it rhymed, and then eventually those people did get punished by the market. But it's like
Yeah.
one of those things. How long can it go with the way things have been, or
Well,
is they say like the new norm? Is like,
well,
is this the
that's
new
my
norm?
point.